Hello friends, welcome back to the Loosely Bound YouTube channel. Porter and I cannot believe that it's already November. Like, where the heck did October go? But one good thing about the end of October is that means it's time for the very first Loosely Bound monthly wrap up. So I swear the month of October is like the busiest month in the entire world for me. My birthday is in October. My favorite holiday is in October. Just so many things going on. But I did manage to read 6 books through the month of October, and we're gonna talk about all of them right now. For a few of these books, I do have full-length reviews already ready. And for the ones that I don't have full-length reviews of, I feel like I might actually do those in the future. So I'm not gonna talk too much about what I thought of these books other than just to give you guys a general rating. And then I can link you to the review videos if you want to see all the juicy details. The first book that I read during October, I started on October 1st and I finished on October 4th. It's called If You Tell, A True Story of Murder, Family Secrets, and the Unbreakable Bond of Sisterhood by Greg Olson. I started reading this book on my Kindle app on my phone, and I started reading it because I wanted to stop scrolling on social media so much, so I downloaded a book on Kindle. I believe I actually got this one for free as well, as like a Kindle First Reads or something, and it was pretty dang good. It was based on a true story of a family that had to go through so much insanity. Just to sum it up quickly, the mother of 3 daughters, her name is Shelley Notek, you can actually Google her because it is based on a true story, was just nutso. This lady was killing people, she was abusing her children. It was just very, very sickening to read about all of the crazy stuff that this lady did and how long that she got away with it for too. I definitely enjoyed reading If You Tell. It's not one of my favorite books that I've ever read in my entire life, so I did give it 3 stars, but I would still recommend it to people just because it was like, how the heck did that even happen? The second book that I read during the month of October is Unspeakable Things by Jess Lowry. I think I paid maybe like $2 for this one or something. It was super duper cheap on Kindle. Unspeakable Things was about another family that had 2 daughters, a mom and a dad. Throughout the whole beginning of the book, they're hinting at that their family is different, that they do things differently and handle things differently. As the book goes on, you find out exactly what sets their family apart. And her parents like to do some pretty weird things. Aside from what our main character is having to deal with in her own family, there's something happening in her hometown where kids are acting very differently. You can just tell something's up and happening to these children. So it's a little bit of a thriller, a little bit of like a whodunit mystery, like who's messing with these kids, and it wasn't a bad read at all. Unspeakable Things overall was a good story. I was interested in it, and I would have given it 3 stars, except when the book ended, there was no ending. To find the actual epilogue to Unspeakable Things, you have to go to the author's website and sign up for her mailing list, and then you get the epilogue emailed to you. And that just felt so sketchy to me. It just felt wrong for me to have to give my email address to finish reading the story that I paid for. So that really drug the whole ranking of this book down for me. At first I gave it 3 stars, and then I actually went back and switched it to 2 because I was so irritated that you just didn't put the epilogue in the book. And then the author tried to give some excuse as to, well, I wanted the ending to be left open so everyone could identify with our main character, but I was just like, no, that's not okay. That's not nice. So Unspeakable Things gets a 2 out of 5 stars from me. The third book that I read during the month of October was also not a great read in my opinion, but I swear the books that I finished October with really perked up. The month got a lot better. So I actually started reading this book at the end of September. I started reading it on September 24th, and it took me until October 16th to get through it. And it's not a super crazy long book, so it was nothing to do with that. It really just took me so long because this book was so boring. I'm talking about Violet by Scott Thomas. Scott Thomas is also the author of Kill Creek, which I actually have not read yet, but I honestly bought Violet because it looks so cool. On the cover, there's a little girl not holding anyone's hands. In the lake reflection, you can see that there is another little girl. And plus the pages, I forget what it's called when the pages are kind of like beveled and worn, but that's how the pages are in this book, and I just thought it looked so cool. So I seriously bought it for the cover and for the pages. After I picked up Violet and started reading it, I was like, holy cow, this is the most boring book I have ever read. Why is it like this? So I went on Goodreads, I started doing some digging because I was almost contemplating not finishing this book, but so many people were raving about Scott Thomas and how good Kill Creek was. And a lot of the reviews on Goodreads for Violet, I feel like almost half of them almost said that they didn't finish Violet, but the other half that did finish it said that it was worth the very, very slow start. I disagree. I did finish Violet, and to me, the ending, they couldn't come back from the 300 pages that I read of them like cleaning a house, which is seriously all the beginning of this book was the mom and her daughter cleaning an old lake house. It was so boring. So the premise of Violet is a mom and her daughter go to their old family lake house after the mother's husband and the child's dad passes away in a car accident. Once they get there, the daughter starts acting even weirder than just normal symptoms of her father passing away, and she starts talking to an imaginary friend and wanting to do nothing but play with the imaginary friend. From there, you learn about the imaginary friend, her backstory, some of the mom's backstory, and it does tie up at the end, but there was just nothing that could be done at the end to save the boring, slow pacing that was the first 300 pages of this book. I gave Violet 2 out of 5 stars. Again, would not recommend it, but I am planning on reading Kill Creek because it seems like that is going to be a true winner from Scott Thomas. After I finished Violet, I started reading You by Caroline Kepnes. I do have a full review on You, so you can check that out if you want to see all of the nitty-gritty details that I got into. I started reading You on October 16th and I finished it on October 21st, and I gave You 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I loved how it was written, and the pacing, the characters, everything was amazing in You from my point of view. So I would highly recommend You to you if you haven't read it yet. I typically have a book that I'm reading a physical copy of, and then there's also a book that I'm reading on the Kindle app on my phone. So the same time that I was reading You, I was also reading Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. This is actually my first Riley Sager novel, and I have just heard wonderful things, and I really enjoyed Lock Every Door. I gave Lock Every Door 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was just really good, well written, and interesting without having too much fluff. It was almost like a modern Rosemary's Baby, and Rosemary's Baby is one of my top books and movies of all time. So for Lock Every Door to make me feel like I was reading Rosemary's Baby just made me really super duper happy. Lock Every Door is a book about a girl who lost her job and her relationship on the same day, but then gets the amazing opportunity to get paid to apartment sit at this really upscale apartment building called the Bartholomew. It's very upscale, and it's very hard just to even get an apartment inside the Bartholomew. So to have the opportunity to get paid to live there is like totally unheard of. But when an opportunity sounds too good to be true, it's usually because it is too good to be true. And that's definitely the case in Lock Every Door. Our main character is Jules, and at the beginning of her position as the apartment sitter, she's presented with some really weird rules and requests. She can't have any visitors ever. She absolutely has to stay in the apartment every night, and she's not supposed to disturb any of the other residents at any time for any reason. So it all sounds a little weird, but still fine and doable. But within the first few days of her stay, one of her neighbors, who is also an apartment sitter, just vanishes in the middle of the night. One of the ladies that's in charge of the Bartholomew explains that she just up and quit, but it seems very suspicious to Jules, and she proceeds to try to track her down. While she's hunting for the missing neighbor, she realizes that things at the Bartholomew are totally not what they seem and uncovers a lot of really nasty secrets. And it all just made for a really, really good read. Lock Every Door got 4 out of 5 stars for me, and I would totally recommend it to anyone looking for a good thriller. My next physical book that I read in October was Bird Box by Josh Malerman. I also have a full review on this book if you want to check that out. There's going to be a little card up here somewhere, so make sure that you find that. This book was so freaking good to me. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, and then I immediately went to Barnes & Noble and bought Mallory, which is the sequel. I haven't started reading it yet because I wanted to give my brain a little bit of time to finish processing Bird Box before I immediately dove into Mallory, but it's on my to-be-read shelf for November, so hopefully I will start on that one soon. In October, I also started The Last Time I Lied on the Kindle app on my phone by Riley Sager. I haven't finished that one yet, so that one's going to show up in my November wrap-up video, as well as The Companion by Katie Allender. I started a physical copy of that in November, didn't finish it until November had actually started, so that one will be showing in my November wrap-up as well. And I did actually add a book to my did not finish shelf this month, which is super, super rare for me. I'll normally commit to a book and make myself finish it, even if I don't like how it's going. But this one was just totally not catching my interest. It was one that I got for free on Kindle First Reads, and I immediately knew it was not my typical genre of books that I would go looking for, but I thought it might be nice just to kind of mix it up a little bit. So I gave it a shot. I didn't love it. This book was Perfectly Impossible by Elizabeth Topp. It has some good ratings on Goodreads, and I think it's probably good if you're into that kind of book. It's about a girl that's a personal assistant for a wealthy family, and just kind of tracks her journey, I guess. I really didn't read that much of it. But the summary gave me the Devil Wears Prada vibes, and I actually loved the Devil Wears Prada. So I was hoping that Perfectly Impossible would feel like that, and just in the little bit of it that I did read, I wasn't getting that vibe and it just wasn't hooking me in, so I did not finish it. But if you're into those kinds of books, it may be a good read for you. That's it for our October wrap-up, guys. Stay tuned because Porter and I are putting together a November to be read video, so make sure that you subscribe so you can check that out. Also, if any of these books caught your attention, check out the description box below and I will post links so you can easily order them. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.